it really begins with the dying of the life sun. So the sun in this galaxy is called the life sun, and the story begins with the sun is beginning to die, and the resources on each planet are being depleted because of this, and specifically the resource of nectar, which is a valuable substance that's used to power all the spaceships, and it has other uses too. The amount of it is declining significantly because of the life sun's demise. And so everyone kind of in this universe is trying to figure out what's happening. Why is the sun dying? Why is the amounts of nectar being depleted because of this? So in response to this, a man who's known by different names to different people, but we'll just call him Captain Sunbeam for now. He is a young captain in the Royal Watch, which is the militant, I would call it like the military / police force / government of this galaxy. And he's a young Royal Watch captain. He decides, based on information told to him from a wise priestess, that there's an artifact beyond the reach of this galaxy, that if it is found and returned to the galaxy, it can solve the demise of the life sun and bring the sun back to its full strength. So Captain Sunbeam, in his ship, the Love Star, which probably many people have heard that name, and it's in lots of different songs and in a few drawings, but it's kind of the captain's iconic spaceship, and he takes it beyond the outer reaches of this galaxy into deep space to try to find this artifact, which some call it the Amulon and others call it the Compass of Ra. So that's how the story begins.
Searching for the love star, searching for my new home. When I finally capture the love star, I won't let it go.
And then, in terms of the book, the real story starts many years after that. And it starts with our protagonist, whose name is Julian, after Joy.
Hi-ho, Silver.
And Julian comes up in a lot of songs.
In the flash of your smile, the remnants of light, the way that you sang me to sleep every night. Fly on back home, sweet Julie,
So I'll just give a brief description of who he is. He's a lumberjack who lives on the planet of Illyria, which is the 4th planet in the 7 Jewels. You know, at some point while he's on Illyria, he begins to hear a voice speaking to him, and he doesn't know where it's coming from at first, but this voice draws him away from Illyria to go on this adventure, and it draws him to go find the captain.
Captain Sunbeam.
Find Captain Sunbeam, yeah.
So, who are the other characters in the book?
Yeah, so the other characters in the book are, we have Julian, he's the main character. And the second main character is Julian's, I would say, like, niece. She's not technically blood related to him, but she's the daughter of Julian's logging partner.
Do we have any, like,
It's a pump
or something like that?
He's young, and she's very, she's a computer kind of, very skilled hacker.
Do you stream on Twitch?
I do not. I feel like I should, but I don't think I do anything interesting enough on my games.
And there's also, elements of, like, from my engineering background, like, it's important, that really comes through in Tuka's character, because that's what she's interested in. She's very ambitious, and she's very, like, career-oriented, which is kind of the opposite of how the Lumberjacks usually are, which is like they're basically like, you know, the show like Deadliest Catch or something like that. And Tuba's not like that. In the books, I kind of see a way to have, like, you know, this scientific aspect and this spiritual aspect. In terms of the Life Sun's demise, you know, there are those that think it's a scientific problem and that can be solved through science. There are others that think it's they more believe in a mythological creation of the galaxy, and they think that there's more of a quote-unquote spiritual solution to that problem. The relationship between Captain Sunbeam and Julian is kind of like that of a master and a student, and so I think part of what Julian's seeking is spiritual, you know, connection. I don't want to speak for Malachy, but it's like almost some of the songs can be like songs of worship. You know, sometimes I see in the music there's a more simplistic story, like almost an energetically or like musically, that's like the Julian and the Captain, and one of them singing to the other, or he's singing to the other one. If people just approach it like, you know, just with an open mind and be open to different parts of the story coming in that maybe they haven't experienced before, you know, different, you know, emotionality of whatever each song is bringing to the table. And I feel there's very much a lot of Illyria in the album, and I think that's part of what visually the album's gonna look like.
Beneath my feet composes an ode to the fire in your heart.
It will tell you what it needs to tell you. It will bring you where it needs to bring you. You don't need to overthink what exactly in the story does this mean, or like what does it not mean, or like, I think it's just, you know, Malachy will tell you, he'll paint you a picture of what he's singing about, and you just hold that lightly, and I think the songs will kind of speak for themselves.
I think you can find it all in these songs. You can find the triumphs, and you can find the ugly side. And, you know, it just so happens on the cover of the album that the love star is soaring into the skies of Illyria, and that is like really an up, you know, but there's also a lot of downs when, as you can see, when it swoops down. I wish there was a picture of it where it swoops down. You can see the smoke coming from the star burners, the 3 star burners, the 3 stars of Orion.
I think after all that Malachy's been through with his cancer and his own personal story and his willingness to kind of make this story of the Sunbeam project kind of come to life.
So, with the constellation of Orion and in the Sunbeam Universe where he's the creator, there's this idea of rebirth, and there's this idea of destruction and danger and ending, but also of beginning.
My sweet Orion, I knew that you would remember me.
So, within each song, there are multiple paths, multiple prophecies that I'm trying to create for myself and for the characters in the story.
Let's grab my morning routine. Get up, make juice, several different types of juices, drink the juice, drink the smoothie, get to the studio. Try not to spill green juice on this nice white shirt that I put on because I knew that you were going to be filming the Shire. Ever been there?
I think at their best, these songs make my journey into a sort of a quest, and I'm trying to write the answers for myself in the songs. I'm trying to remind myself of things too, because, you know, when you have like a serious health issue or any type of serious issue, you know, when you're in the moment, you can't remember the path that you, like, it takes you out of yourself. And so in these songs, I wanted to nail down what the path and what the message was, despite everything.
Just kind of what it takes to keep the ship moving forward. It's just, you know, you never know what, when you wake up, you never know what, you know, what's gonna start to become a problem, develop physically as the day goes on.
It's interesting as someone who's lived with him over the past 7-8 years now. We've lived in different places, but he's always been playing music. He's always been the loud one in our relationship and literally playing loud music. And so I'd always hear the start of these songs, the beginnings. We go to another room, play something in our bedroom. And in our current place now in Somerville, he has a little office. So the second album of Captain Sunbeam that's being out, Songs of Orion, I really started like 5 years ago at this point, 6 years ago.
What's on my mind going to the studio today? Well, it's the last day before mixing. And there's just so many tiny little things to do. I have a master list of everything that needs to get added. And the master list is always, you know, growing and evolving. Things are getting added to it, things are getting taken off.
His music before that story may have been there, but the story certainly evolved after he got sick.
The Captain Sunbeam
The Captain Sunbeam kind of emerged more in full strength from that cancer diagnosis.
And during the pandemic, when we were all just inside, like, he was creating all this music and channeling everything that he's gone through. And like, after he became cancer free and had the surgery and the radiation, and then we got into the pandemic, he started losing mobility and had issues walking. And so I think he really used music to deal with that and to kind of process all that was happening to him. So Songs of Orion really, this album is really emblematic of that time. And also there's some newer songs too, but I think they all stem from that and are connected through that thread, along with the Captain Sunbeam story and universe that Connor is writing.
And as long as there is light, I will shine.
So when I first got diagnosed, you know, the first thing was I wanted to live, and I have. But also the way that I went through it was really important to me. And I remember just praying that I had the sort of like the mental strength or spiritual strength or bravery to make a good impression on everyone around me, and to show them that I could go through something and not let my fear take over, and show that I could rise to the challenge, and that, you know, that I was strong enough.
I don't want to speak for Malachy, but I'll speak for him a little bit. I think that, you know, with what he goes through on a daily basis, writing music is a way for him to kind of, you know, deal with some of the things that he goes through.
Shine to the highest height in the darkest night.
All right, let me get it one more time.
I mean, he's done everything in his power to keep his physical strength, his physicality or his physical strength so strong, so that he can be in the world to the best of his ability, but so that also that he can make music.
Please don't let this be our last ride in the love star tonight. And as long as there's light, I will shine.
The story before was good, and I think now as afterwards, I think it's just they can speak more to the details, but I know his will to do it is that much stronger. I think like he's going to see this to wherever he wants it to get to the finish line. I think it's part of his healing journey.
And I think that's part of the reason why I always try to believe in myself and have a really high self-worth, because what's the other option? You know, the other option is just bullshit. So I don't know. I really forged Captain Sunbeam to remind myself to be brave and to just do whatever it takes to make it through. But not to say that it's always positive, because you listen to this album, I mean, like, you'll see it all.
I don't know if any of this will make this. At some point, it becomes more of something that you just have to do, and not something that you want to do. Like, there's so many steps along the way that I know just need to get executed, and some of the steps are fun, but some of the steps you don't take as much joy in, and you just, all right, I have to pack this up, and I have to, get here and make all these things happen, just so those few minutes of time when you're at the studio can count. We want to save the sun, we want to heal ourselves, we want to make it all happen, and I think it still is that along the way, and I'm sure other people might relate to this, but it just becomes, can this project actually be completed?
Dear Mr. Fantasy Players, do something to make us all happy.
Malachy, look at the King of Paris.
And they're both, I think, resilient.
Yeah.
And they both want things done their way. And I think some of their back and forth, really, some of that dissonance creates there's something that comes out of that.
Something good, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll talk about what it's like to work with brothers. I mean, especially when Connor was playing more actively with the band. I mean, I remember them shooting glares at each other halfway through songs, maybe, and oh, the next break we're taking is about to be a heated one.
And if you wanna know where you can find me, I'll be there by your side.
But I also just have seen them bounce ideas off each other, show so much love for each other in the process, and work together in just as many ways as they work against each other, which, having a brother, I can speak to that truth.
And Julian and Captain Sunbeam have a relationship as well. Would you say that mirrors anything in your personal life, or
Not really. I mean, the classic question is is it Malachy, Captain Sunbeam, and I'm Julian, or sometimes he's Julian and I'm Captain Sunbeam. I think in the music, Malachy plays with that all the time, and that's kind of even existed back then before the story was really formed.
Storm past the window, get torn to shreds. For the last 5 years, I've been forcing you up and out of my head.
There's Julian and the Captain, and that's the key relationship to the story. And there's the teacher and the disciple, the spiritual figure and the one who wants to learn.
Through the stars, no, I'll miss you. I won't let you down.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm Julian and Malachy's the captain or anything like that. Although sometimes we take on those roles. Maybe those are accurate to some degree. Just that dual dynamic, like in the song "So Evil," coming on the record. That's probably the most on the nose version of that, where he's saying, maybe Julian's saying, "Sunbeam, you're so evil, but I love you anyway."
Sunbeam, my love, you're so evil, but I love you anyways. So please don't hesitate to make me yours.
And that's very core to the music too, because it's who are you singing to, and a lot of the times, Malachy's singing to Julian or to whoever.
Why don't you want to speak to me? We were always brothers of the light. Why don't you want to speak to me? We were always brothers of the light. Julian, don't fade away. More than the moon, more than the sun, I hope you stay.
And a part of some of what we do is sometimes I'll send Malachy excerpts of the story so that he knows some of what's going on, and I think that's influenced a lot of the music on this album too. Maybe not all of it, but certain songs.
My mind crawls, look in my eyes to the blue.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Take out the ones after
Why can't you
put it back in? Why can't you see?
Yeah.
Is that a 49?
Yeah, they're offset by a couple seconds or something, but that's the general spot.
Especially for this project and the period we've been in recently, it has been very parallel. Malachy's working on this great album and I'm working on the book, and they're both serious projects that involve a lot of time and effort put into them. But I think that's kind of our working dynamic at this time, to kind of work in parallel but also be crossing over. Like I said, I'll send him some excerpts from the story, and that will kind of like feed some of what he's writing in terms of music, and then he'll send I'll hear the songs and I'll have like commentary on those. So I think that's just the dynamic we're at right now.
What has it meant to you, though, like, to have done this and continue to do this with him?
It means a lot. Me and Malachy have been working on, projects like this for a long time. I think it's a little different than it was when we recorded the first EP. Because at that time I was heavily involved in the band. But it means a lot.
I thought I'd struck gold, I thought I'd struck riches, I thought I'd found a way to get away from you hateful witches. But next thing I knew, I was stranded on this bit of an island. Tortuga, oh, that's where we'll go. Never burned brighter, never felt better. Oh my boy, we are never going home. Tortuga, that's where it'll be. We'll find the treasure, we'll live forever. We will always be free. Take me sailing to Tortuga.
Hey guys, Malachy here. Just wanted to let you know, if you enjoyed this documentary and would like to support Captain Sunbeam, really the best way you can do that is to buy one of these official Songs of Orion CDs, which comes with all the original album artwork. On the inside there's the compass, and then revealing this cosmic campfire scene if you've gotten to that point in the documentary. But hopefully this will provide you guys with a really immersive experience as you listen to this album and enjoy it. If you're interested, the link is in the description. We're also selling these amazing prints of the album artwork. This one happens to be the sunset version of the album cover. It's a 1 of 50 print. It's signed by the artist, and it comes in a bundle with the CD. You can also just get the CD on its own, or you can just get the print if that's your vibe. And like I said, there's a Taz Abalone version of the print. There's the Cosmic Campfire print. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you further along down the line on our journey.